Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Lagos Talks 91.3. Good morning, welcome to the Saturday Breakfast Show. My name is Faith, and it's time for us to get into conversations with Faith 5 minutes into the 9 o'clock hour. So on today's show, it's a full house actually. I have in the studio, of course, as you've listened to the promo, Mr. I hope I get the pronunciation right because I'm not Yoruba, so if I get it wrong, just correct me. Mr. Omoyele Sowore.
Sowore. Yes.
Okay. He is the founder and publisher of Sahara Reporters and also a presidential aspirant. Okay, so we have quite a lot of things to talk about today. And I also have joining me in the studio Mr. Adebisi Ladejobi. He's the convener of the Youth Can Fix Nigeria.
Good morning.
Okay, and I also have my co-host Benny Wags, Emmanuel Odeyemi.
Yeah, good morning once again, Lagos.
Okay, so it's a very full house, but we're going to start with this. Definitely you know that your show on another station in Ibadan went viral.
That's correct.
Yes. So there are some things that we're talking about that I saw from there, but much more than that, I would say because you run a newspaper outfit or an online
Yes.
Outfit,
That's
there's
correct.
also that idea of he runs Sahara Reporters, and Sahara Reporters it's quite popular.
Yes.
For a number of things, aside the fact that most of the times you break the news first.
Yes.
At other times you're seen as being combative of people in political offices.
That's correct.
And so now that you say you're running for office, was there an agenda all along from starting of the paper? You were an SUG in school.
Yes.
You were SUG president in school, to starting your paper, to now running for presidency. Is it all pre-planned?
No, in fact, everything that's ever been about me somehow has been accidental. Let me say good morning to Lagos and good morning to the people of Nigeria. The only agenda I ever had growing up was to live what you can call a righteous life, and I'm not trying to be religious here, and to help work towards having a better society. But I grew up in a sleepy village in Ondo State, and my innocence was punctured when I was about 10 years old when policemen invaded my village. And there's some terrible things that you probably have read about. We don't have time to talk about that today. And I just decided from that day, since I was 10, very bitter, broken, and depressed about that experience, that if I ever have a chance, I will help create a just society where policemen cannot just go into any community for that matter and abuse people. And that great opportunity came when I was admitted into the University of Lagos in 1989. It will be 30 years next year that I started this. You can ignore my mohawk, I'm not that young. So, and ever since then, it's been some kind of a roller coaster. If I had an agenda to be president of Nigeria 30 years later, I probably wouldn't undertake some of the dangerous things
that you did.
That I did, which almost all of my engagements could have led to my death, pretty much. Starting from the time I was the SUG president, fighting the military, and we had a vicious military at that time in the 90s. And then we moved on there from one military leader to even the most vicious this country ever had, which was Abacha, from Babangida to Abacha. And in between, at the point we had to fight our own colleagues on campus because they were also engaging in vicious combat against us who were fighting for democracy. And every one of this, that led to me going to jail. I won't say prison because I was never convicted of any crime. 8 different times, detained in some of the most vicious dungeons. When I was in my 20s, I was detained in the Inter Center here in Ikoyi. It's somewhere inside the cemetery in Ikoyi. It's very close to Radio Nigeria in Ikoyi. And nobody would know that it exists. and it has a dungeon in it. I'm sure it still exists today. They keep coup plotters there. They put me there in my 20s. So, but I would say that everything else has prepared me.
Has prepared you for this.
To be able to articulate the need for a generational change. The need to just abandon all these old people. The young people of Nigeria must withdraw their services from them. No longer be their thugs, killers, assassins, because a better society is possible. On my way here, I was just recording the skyline of Lagos, the lagoon, and what is missing is governance. Otherwise, this is the most beautiful place to be in the world.
Okay. Talking about young people, I'm sure that is what you agree with as well, because it's part of what you...
Yes, I do, actually. So, I think I'm with him on this one. I think there's a need for change in Nigeria as a whole. I can relate to some...
Be careful with the word change. People get bastardized it.
Fair enough. Well, so I agree with him. There's a need for... I'll speak to him later as to what word to use. But there's a need for generational change. That's what he called it, right? There's a lot of issues in Nigeria. I can relate to a lot of things he's spoken about as well. The police, the military, the use of our generation, the use of thugs and whatnot to intimidate us. So
yes, you're with him on that particular.
Completely.
But let me go to this issue of, because every time people talk about a change in generation, like most of the older people, they're not going to deliver. They're not going to deliver. Is age actually a factor for governance?
No, it is not. But it is a factor for energy. It's a factor for vision. It's a factor for movement. The truth is that a younger, more articulate, more focused, more visionary young person, person can do a better job than a 75-year-old man. That's the truth. That one is a scientific truth, that I can get out of here and run a marathon because I've done it before. But the president of Nigeria today cannot do it.
And doesn't need to run a marathon to actually think about how to govern the country.
No, you actually need to be agile, because Nigeria is such a very agile society. You can see it's a very vibrant place. The president of Nigeria must be like Nigerians. If you see Nigerians everywhere in the world, we are a scientific definition of agility, and we think very fast, we move very fast, we walk very fast, we operate differently. Anywhere somebody says to you that, are you a Nigerian, they have different things in their mind they're thinking about,
But let me ask you, in 2015, when we had the election that sort of saw a lot of young people participating, especially technology-wise and everything,
yes.
Did you expect a change, really?
Oh no, in 2015, we tested, 2015 was a test running of something that you cannot mess with. And it was revolutionary. Nigerians wanted to test the migration of democracy from one party to another, and that happened. Right? The parties before 2015, the PDP before 2015, they were bragging that they would be in power for 60 years.
Yes.
And Nigerians sat down, just like we're sitting down now in our different corners and saying quietly, we're going to retire them. And we did that because they abused us. They abused our resources. They abused us, our faces. They were doing it to us on Twitter that, we can't lose. There's nothing you can do. We have money. But we made sure that money failed them. So people cannot just reduce 2015 to, a handing over of power from one bad person to obviously the worst. But when people make these political calculations, they have reasons for doing it. 2015 was also a test run of technology and social media in intervening in politics and elections. So many things happened in 2015 that is making it possible now to have the conversations we're having. If we had a PDP consolidate their brand of policies in 2015, I won't be in front of you today, because they were willing and ready to unleash themselves violently on the society. What they did before 2015 was going to be child play, considering how they were positioning themselves. You could see the arrogance was there. They were already strategically just targeting people that they would take down. They were targeting resources that they would take down. They were planning how to loot the country. They were planning to vandalize Nigeria. By now, we would have been on eBay.
For sale.
Okay.
Well, I just want to ask, your aspiration has caused some kind of disruption in the
That's
policy.
exactly what it's about. It's a disruptive aspiration.
Yes, which might turn out to be good for the country.
It's
as a
not
whole.
that it might turn out. Don't be using the word might at this point. It has turned out at the point that we are now. We have disrupted one major thing. We have disrupted generationally. We have disrupted the zoning formula. I just came back from Kano. People were receiving us in Kano. We had a massive town hall meeting in Kaduna. We had in Lagos. But the feeling before then was that nobody could enter the north. It was Mr. Buhari's territory. We went to Kano.
How many places in the north have you been to?
I've been to Kano. I've been to Kaduna. These are his major
Have you been to
strongholds.
Katsina?
We haven't been to Katsina, but we'll go to
Gradually.
Katsina. Katsina has just been disrupted by another party. They had a huge rally there. There's no base anywhere. Nigerians, young people across the country are looking for a different kind of politics. They are looking for a different kind of future. They want to wake up on February 15, 2019 and be told that we have moved in the right direction and not the backward direction.
Emmanuel wanted to ask a question.
Yes,
so.
I want to ask if you believe that there should be some sort of progression. Because a lot of people are saying, why do you want to come out all of a sudden and want to be president? Shouldn't you think of probably being a governor first, or even...
Look, I've heard that argument a lot. Nigeria is not looking for a governor right now, right? They are not looking for a councillor. But what is important is that what I'm doing should also be a challenge to you. It should be a challenge to everybody listening to me. You can be governor. What I want to be is president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, not the governor of a state, not councillor. And that's what I went for. I'm a big dreamer, and that's what I told that minister the other day in Ibadan. I'm a big dreamer, and the dream is to disrupt the political process. It's also to help liberate the minds of young people who have internalized oppression and inferiority. They've been told over the years that they're not good for anything, so they have accepted it. So when they see a young person like them say, I want to be president, they say, wow, how can you do it? Why don't you start as councillor? It is also the message that the people at the top are arrogantly passing down to them that they are repeating. The truth is this: who is ruling Nigeria today who can run it better than you and I? Is it the man there? I have seen 7 presidents run Nigeria in my lifetime, starting from Babangida. There's none of those guys who can do a better job than any one of us. They don't have the exposure, they don't have the education, they don't have the experience. The only experience they have is stealing, killing, assassination, and destruction. That's the only experience. And that's why Nigeria is the evidence of their experience today. It's a broken place. Nigerians are broke.
Yeah,
that is the evidence of their experience in governance.
You can say that that's their experience.
Yes.
But some people would also say that knowing the political system in Nigeria, you need to have stayed in the system to an extent to understand.
I have stayed in the system for 30 years. I am better experienced than most of these guys.
You were talking about the political system.
There's no political systems. Look, there is a prebendal political system which they designed and carved out, and they are operating to oppress you. That is not a political system. What do you call the Nigerian political system, where people get killed just because you want to become a governor or a councillor? Or you become a councillor today, you are poor in penury, the next day you are the richest person. That's not the political system. That is cannibalism, of...
Do you think that can be upended for 2019?
Why not? Didn't we upend it in 2015? Were you not here in Lagos when they were distributing money to traditional rulers?
They're still distributing money. The cabal still exists. People still get money to vote.
That's the point.
Things still happen.
That's why I told you 2015 is the test run of our capability to disrupt.
But let me ask you
the
this.
cabal
if you did not,
would be disgraced in 2019
if you
again.
don't, because you say your aspiration is to make other young people feel like, what, I can do this as well. So what if you don't get in? What if nothing happens with your ambition, like you don't get elected?
Look, I cannot lose because we've won this already. The only people that will lose are the 75% of our young people who are unable to take a decision now that it's necessary to do so. We got nothing to lose. But here is what I'm telling you. I'm going into this, and I have in the bank 75 million votes of young people. Buhari, as it's been started,
you have that in the bank, what about the other young people that are running? I mean, we have a few young people that have also come up to say that they are running.
They are welcome. I love some of them. I hear them speak. They'll be great ministers of information. Wow! All of us come together. We should come together. I love them. I love all of them. I hope to meet some of them. These are great guys. I love what they are doing. They are disrupting the system, and we are working together. And when we win in 2019, I won't be the only person. We will already have a cabinet because already on the internet, people are choosing the cabinet that we're going to work with.
Exactly.
But you don't even have a political party yet.
No, come on. We have a coalition. It's going to be a model of all coalitions. Political parties are different from movements. We are approaching this through a movement.
But you're going to have to run on the
There will,
platform.
what I'm saying is that there will be a political party. Yesterday, we went to Kaduna. We met the leader of the oldest political party in Nigeria, Balarabe Musa. He offered me his platform to run. That's number one right there. But I told him, you should wait for us to get a coalition. And he said it's on tape. We're going to upload it today. He said, when you decide, I want to be the one declaring you as the candidate of whichever coalition we form. We met with another political party yesterday in Abuja, ANRP. You've heard about them, the Abundant Nigeria is a renewal party. Yes, I have not even. And like I said, young people, wherever you are, run these people out of town.
You keep talking about young people. Let's talk about Governor Yahaya Bello, right? He's a young person.
No.
No, hold on. He's a young person, right? So when you talk about, that's why I keep asking about age as a factor.
Yes,
he's a young
that's
person,
true.
and mostly he's been seen as a disappointment in different quarters.
Well,
so, I mean, I'd let you respond to that in a minute. What do you think?
Well, look, I have said it. The first thing I said was that when I was in the university, I had cause to fight young people like myself who were engaging in gangsterism. So I don't need to prove to you the kind of young people I'm talking about. You know the kind of young people I will associate with. You are talking about Yahaya Bello. Why didn't you mention Dino?
Oh.
Are you afraid of him?
Is it young?
No.
I'm sorry. Is he a young
Relatively.
No,
Relatively.
Dino,
Isn't he in his 50s?
Dino is in his 40s.
He's in his 40s.
Oh, he's in his-
I think Dino is like
He
45
would have
years old.
fooled me.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I'm
Yes.
sorry. He
But
doesn't
I
look-
told you I met Dino
He looks
in
like
those
he's
days
in
of
his 50s.
Abuja
Both
National
of
Youth
them are
Convention.
from Kogi. Yahaya
No,
and
but he
Dino.
looks like he's in the. So that's youthful exuberance right there.
It's not. It's not.
Hey, that's a blow below the belt.
Exactly. You might want to watch that too.
What-
Okay,
what-
so let me respond to that, right? With the issues of young people, I don't think the focus should be on young people. I'm young. I think what we young people have going for us is the energy, like you said, rightly said earlier. But more importantly, it's what are you going to do for Nigeria? How are you going to do it? You know, I'm done with young, old, Hausa, Yoruba, Igbo. It doesn't matter. What are you doing? What are you going to bring to the table? We need to start asking questions. You need to be accountable. You need to give us something to hold on to. You know, it's not just you're not campaigning, you're campaigning with your body language, and you know, we go with all of that, and at the end of the day, we have nothing to hold on to. If you're running for office, two things: what are you doing, and how are you going to do it?
So are you saying if you don't really, if it's not supposed to be about just the young people thing, would you ascribe to the 75-year-old man to continue ruling us?
If he can get the job done, it's about getting. Let's not lose sight of what the aim is. The aim is to fix Nigeria, you know. And if he can do it, I'm right behind him. What we have going for us again is our energy, our innovative minds. We're young, you know, we're technology savvy and all of that stuff. So those things we have going in our favor. Again, it is what are you doing for Nigeria and how
are you going to
Look, listen, I want to answer him directly.
Yes, sir.
There's no politics without catchment areas.
Oh.
Right. You know, and at every stage in the political life of a nation, there will be people who will rise up and there will be the catchment area for the movement. Next year will be 20 years of return to democratic rule. So that also counts for a milestone. And when you say young people, it's a constituency that has been disenfranchised, they are disenchanted, and they have been kicked out of the political system. In fact, yesterday I started defining them as the seventh zone of the geopolitical system in Nigeria. Yes, so that's what I mean. It's a generic word for the people that have not been given the
That have not
opportunity.
had a voice,
but
basically.
also, it is also a demographic body in the country of 75% of our population. We cannot talk and just say that, well, if we find another 75-year-old man. The reason we come to this conclusion is that we've looked at all the 75-year-olds and come to a final conclusion that they cannot help themselves and they can't help us, and it's time to retire them and just let them be collecting pensions. Like the same way soldiers who fought in wars are collecting pensions, teachers who taught and got tired are collecting pensions. There has to be a retirement period for people who have no ideas. we have looked at the horizon and seen that they have nothing to offer us. If he finds a 75-year-old man today in Nigeria who is honest, agile, and digital enough to take up.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one to find.
There's a tall order, yes.
Yeah,
Okay, so let's talk about, because I mean,
But worry tweets
political.
Noisy.
What?
I
Why
see
you-
it.
When you see a Twitter, when you see a Twitter handle, you know
But
what
you,
it
but you
means.
know there are people behind the handle.
Oh,
But let's talk about movements. I mean, your movement is Take It Back, right?
Yes.
Take It Back movements.
Yes.
There are several movements that I know about. There's the NIM, Nigeria Intervention Movement. There is the coalition, Nigeria Coalition. That's
that coalition.
spearheaded by, the former President Bishop Obasanjo in his 80s. And then there is...
I just had to put that.
Yes.
couldn't help myself. And also there's the Red Card movement, and then there is Falada Torres movement as well. I think that one is running for Nigeria or something.
Yes.
All of these movements, I mean, most of them are coming to the fore because of the 2019 elections,
Yes.
in particular. Do you think? I mean, because Pastor Toby was saying that Nigeria doesn't need a political party, it needs a movement, and some people are saying we don't need any movements anymore. We just need a culture. Do you think that these movements are enough to turn around Nigeria, especially because they are all run by different people who may have their agendas different from any other person's agenda?
There's no question about it. When you see a movement led by former President Obasanjo, for example, you can tell his agenda. They're looking to force on Nigeria another despicable candidate. That's his history.
Despicable, that's a strong word.
Yes, look, I know these people, and that's why I can call them out. You know, my full-time job before now is in the media, so I'm one of you. And when I say despicable, I have empirical evidence. It was in 1979. This country was faced with an opportunity to have a president that would have made a difference. Obafemi Awolowo. Obasanjo made it impossible. They had an agenda, or a legal agenda they called 12 to 3rd, to rig him out of the system. When Bashorem Abiola came to power, he was one of the persons, because of his personal ambition, that also sabotaged that. As a matter of fact, went to Zambia and said that Abiola wasn't the Messiah Nigeria was waiting for. Very selfish, and he participated after that in several other very political interventions that led us to where we are. At the point he foisted on this country someone who was half dead, Yaradua. That's why sometimes I worry when people say, you need experience. There was a time this country was run by a dead person. Yaradua was dead for 5 months and the country was running on autopilot. It was the handiwork of Obasanjo. The man went quickly, packaged the man from Otueke, they put him there. The elders met again and said, Buhari should come. So that is selfish political interest has destroyed Nigeria, and that's why his third force came and died on arrival, DOA. Nobody respected it, nobody wants to hear about it. We have moved past them. They just have to live with it.
What about the other movements? Is there any possibility of saying a merger,
Oh no, absolutely. I just mentioned that. I welcome them and I want to meet with more of them. I would love to meet with Olisa Agbakova, who I know from when I was an undergraduate at the University of Lagos. And I was a member of the United Action for Democracy that he led in the 90s when we were fighting against him. So I know some of them personally. I know the people in the Red Card movement. Most of them were BBOG people, Bring Back Our Girls activists. So I understand what is behind, what is motivating them, at least on the surface. And some of them came to our rally in our town hall meeting in Abuja. Some of the Red Card people, some from the NIM. They are all sniffing around us, so we know that. And for those of them that have genuine intentions, we will end up just working together. For those who have a hidden agenda, of course, they will be quickly exposed.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm looking at a bigger picture, and one of the problems I see in this country is something we've spoken about severally, and that's politicians being career politicians. You don't have any other thing you're doing.
Yes.
Now, I saw an interview where you said you're going to divest yourself from Sahara Reporters.
Yes.
So if and when you become president of Nigeria,
Yes.
what other job are you going to be doing?
It'll be the full-time job will be presiding over Nigeria. rebuilding Nigeria, reconstructing Nigeria, and just taking Nigeria to the next level. There's no bigger job
when he's a
in the
president,
world.
you can't do any other
You
job.
can't do anything.
Yeah, there's something
when
I'm getting
when I
at.
become president 4 years later, my entire hair will be grey. You've seen Obama. There's no job that is harder than being president of the country and working very hard
Yes.
at delivering your promises.
I don't
to
even
the
think
people.
you're allowed
My
to do
question
any
was
other thing
now
when
it
you're
was
president.
directed at finding out. We have a problem. We tell ourselves a lot of lies in this country. Now, this issue of salaries being paid to presidents, governors, and everywhere across
Yes.
board. We don't have a clear idea of what these people earn. And in other same countries, because I think what we do here is mostly insane, people earn just what is enough to take care of them. The only difference is most politicians in Nigeria want to amass wealth for
Exactly.
themselves.
Yes.
Now, what would you advocate? And would you stick with what is going on now, or would you advocate for a change in that direction?
Absolutely. First, we have to make it public what everybody's earning. And when we say salaries, it's not salaries alone, it also has to be allowances. Because most of them don't even know what they're earning in terms of salaries. They don't go there. They don't go to the accounting to which salaries are paid. Most of them get paid through the back door, through Ghana Must Go bags, and we have to eliminate all of that. The governmental system in this country is too expensive and burdensome. And that's the reason why when you make an argument for a living wage for workers, people will kick against you. But you find a governor is able to pay himself 300 million, sometimes up to 1 billion naira every month for security votes. But they will never pay salaries of workers. All the workers in the state might just be all right if the governor can give up on the security vote. Because the security vote is like a criminal pot.
You think that should be totally taken out?
It should be taken out. And not only should it be taken out, we should also remove the immunity that government officials enjoy.
So you wouldn't want to have immunity if you became president?
I wouldn't, because other countries around the world are punishing their presidents for.
True.
Why wouldn't I? Look at what they're doing to Trump.
Okay, let me ask you this though. Sahara Reporters in itself has been seen as that paper that is unafraid, basically. Like you'll be accused of having different agendas against different people, against persons. How do you respond to that?
No, it's part of what you go through for doing the kind of work Sahara Reporters has done. Sahara Reporters is not after anybody as an individual. Sahara Reporters is an equal opportunity offender of thieves in our political system. And we offend anyone regardless of. I'll give you an example. I also engage in physical activism, so it's a media movement as well. That's how I created it, right? It's not supposed to just be a newspaper that is reporting on something and then we go to sleep after the report has been published. We monitor the reports, we put evidence out. When necessary and there's a protest against somebody who's a thief, we participate in the protest. I led the town hall meeting disruption in the US years ago. Some people were saying that it was because the minister wasn't Yoruba. They don't even know where I come from. And then the other day, I went and confronted the minister in Ibadan that is a Yoruba man, and they don't know what to say anymore, because that's how I don't have an ethnic gene in my body.
Okay.
I don't care whose socks is God, but there's evidence that you're a thief, or you'll be stealing, or you will catch your finger or your hand or your knuckle inside the cookie jar. We would go after you with the same ferocity. We'll go after even this, because some of the guys that are complaining that, the danger about this country is that there are old thieves and they are training people I call apprentice thieves, and those ones are more aggressive, and some of them are young. So that's why I agree with you with the argument of just we should not say that because somebody is young we can trust them. No, that's not the reason, and I've said that all over the place. I don't feel that I want to be president because I'm young and entitled. Even by United Nations definition of youth, I'm no longer a youth. I'm 47 years old.
We still love you.
Yes. But I'll keep my mohawk so that I can feel and I will be dancing shaku shaku.
Really?
After the show, you're going to dance shaku shaku, so I can see. But let's visit this, because I saw some of the promises, the campaign promises you're making already, things that you're saying you want to do.
Yes.
Power you're going to visit powers, solar panels, in how many months that should be done.
Solar energy.
Solar energy.
Yeah.
Then you talked about, living wage for workers.
Yes.
You talked about paying NYSC, members 100K,
NYSC is 50K, yeah.
and then supposed to go on to that at some point.
Yes, that we will move very quickly because we definitely need resources to do this.
Yes. So I saw all of that, and the APC made several campaign promises as well. And then when they got in, it was a case of, we didn't know it was like this when we were talking about all of these promises. So sometimes it's easier to talk from the outside because you're not in there, you don't have the information that they do have. So don't you think that you're moving too fast with all the promises you're making without even knowing what is going on?
All the promises we have made are based upon our own research. We have a whole team of very vibrant, very knowledgeable. It's a knowledge-based campaign. And what we did was to go in and look at what Nigeria is making and what Nigeria could afford to pay. And we have articulated in such a way that we are thinking about how much we are losing to corruption. And that if we can take back some of those, if we reduce corruption, which is $5 billion every year, if we can take those out, you'll be able to fulfill so many of these promises and more. Even by the admission of the government of the day. This last year alone, the customs people made 2.something trillion. It used to be 200 billion. The FRS in Abuja made almost 3 trillion. The MPA in Lagos made almost 1.something trillion. If you look at all of their revenue sources that they revealed, we are assuming that they're not lying. We can pay for our budget without going to the NNPC. So the NNPC can bring in a lot more. But you know what they did with the regime? The APC wasn't a political party, it was an arrangement of former PDP people and other desperate politicians. They had to cobble together the party. They had no plan. They just knew how to lie, they knew how to deceive, they knew how to manipulate, and they got away with it. And that was why they are finding it difficult now to wriggle out of the way we are holding their feet to fire. They didn't have any plan. And when they were confronted with the opportunity to plan, they just don't have the capacity. That's what.
Are you saying that everybody in the government, none of them is brilliant enough? None of them is.
No, we're not saying that. But you saw the government now, a provincial government of people from Daura only. The government is not even open to people with ideas.
From different places.
Like the one you spoke with in Ibadan.
Yes, like the minister from Ibadan. The man doesn't even know how to use Google. He didn't know where I came from.
He's the minister of communication.
Exactly.
I think one of the major problems that I have seen is the will to do.
Exactly.
Is the will to do. So what I see in sorry, I don't know how to pronounce his name, but what I see in him is the will to do. Our leaders of today don't have, I don't think they have the will to do.
It's not about will, it's also capacity. You cannot expect a 75-year-old man who has never been outside of his village since he was
But then
kicked out
he has a team of other people.
But
that's
why I don't even believe that it's about the will. It's a deliberate refusal to do what is right.
Yeah, so
that is there, but it's also
saying the same
capacity.
thing. If it's a deliberate refusal, then you don't have
the will to do
Okay,
it.
So
let's break it down to digital.
basically.
Let's know.
Right.
The RAMs on their computer are not capable of running the system of Nigeria.
Wow.
Yes, they don't have the memory enough. They don't have enough
space.
memory space to run Nigeria. So it's just like we are using a 568 computer or this 368 to run a society that is in need of several terabytes of RAMs to run the computer. That's where they don't have the capacity. Look, we have been unfair to them at times by asking
them to do certain
something.
things.
Because there are some people who are considered brilliant on the team who said
But if you talk to them privately, they don't have the
or is it that
opportunity.
they are not given?
They are not given the
Yeah,
opportunity.
So you see that goes
Because
back
of
to-
that provincial
because
system
of the person that's in charge.
the person
or
in
what?
charge, look at the chief of staff of the president. The man is also an 85-year-old man, half mostly in London receiving treatment. All of the people in government are his cousins, his brothers. There's no room to do more. And the people who are not part of that circle, even when they want to do, they put them in their place very quickly. So even the language spoken inside the villa is not the official language of Nigeria.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's the truth. They will tell you. I talk to them all the time. So even the ones that come out to lie to you every day on social media, they themselves are alienated within the villa. You know, and I'm not saying that, you know, I'm a big fan of English language. No, I wish that our language of communication is our own language, like they do in other places.
We have so many languages.
Yes,
Yes.
But since we have adopted English language, it would have been fair. You know, I saw it at the airport when I was leaving. You must have seen the video. When the DSS guys want to communicate, they started communicating in a language that they know that I won't understand, or they thought I won't understand. You know.
Did you understand?
I mean, I understand Hausa a little bit. What they call Hausa.
You can grab the main things.
What did you want to say, Adewale?
So, I mean, I agree with all you said, but I still stand. I still believe it boils down to the will to do.
Because they know that we know what the reason they laugh at us is because we ourselves don't take ourselves serious.
Let me go back to that minimum wage issue. And you know, for quite a number of years, what has always happened, what has played out, is that each time there's a wage increase, the price of every other thing goes up, and no government